I'm Lewis.
And I'm Holly. And we have a desire to discuss some concepts with you. Over dinner the other night, we were talking about how the environment reacts with the physics and how people behave in their various environments. And we've come up with a concept that we call behavioral physics. Lewis?
The first thing I want to do is I'd like to take the opportunity to quote Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, "Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people." So I'd like to focus on the idea that you just touched on, Holly, and talk about physics and how the energy in the universe exerts its influence on all of us, and maybe we can solve some problems as we go along. But the first rule of physics that I find interesting is that you cannot destroy either energy or mass. That it's reconstituted, it's reformed, it's reshapen, but you can never destroy it.
It's redistributed everywhere.
Redistributed.
Wherever it never goes away.
So, to me, the entire universe is subject to this set of mathematical laws that I find very, very interesting. And we can talk about this in subsequent shows, but how much of everything that we do in everyday life is predetermined. I know you and I have had this discussion about predetermined. How much is predetermined, and how much leeway do we have to make our own decisions, which I find quite interesting. But I'm getting somewhat off topic. One thing that I have recently read about is that scientists have discovered that there are actually binary comets and binary stars, meaning you've got these two stars that are tethered together by energy. Well, I want to focus on the comets because we know scientists have proven that amino acids, which are the basic building blocks of life, came to Earth or were delivered to Earth via comets. And if these amino acids had spent 1 billion years being tethered via the comet in this binary situation, the force of that energy, that attraction that kept those two comets together, was exerted on those amino acids. And once they got to Earth and eventually became human form or whatever other animal form, is that where basic attraction comes from, the energy attraction?
Yeah, I mean, look at the behavior in society. I mean, we all feel we've got that one soulmate out there, that one person that we must find them. I mean, I waited a long time to find you, and I believed in that one soulmate. I believed that there was one attraction out there for me.
Right. And I know that, even though we've been together for a very long time, whenever you walk into the room, my energy changes. It's much more positive. It's, that attraction is still there. It's still very vivid.
Well, and then of course, so what I want to know is, where does the repulsion come in? If we're always attracted to each other, where does the repulsion come in?
Okay. Well, obviously that's when you have two objects like comets or stars that are tethered together, there's an attractive force, but to keep these bodies from slamming into one another, there also has to be a repulsive force which keeps them tethered apart. So it's like they're working equally. And Einstein had, go ahead.
All I can think of is possibly elementary school age kids on the playground, and it's cliche, but the little boy who likes the little girl and he pulls her ponytail.
Right.
He's repulsed by her, but he's attracted to her at the same time.
Yeah. Maybe at that age we hadn't quite figured it out, as human beings. But yeah, you've got that. Those two forces have to be equal, and therein lies the mathematics that I touched on earlier. These forces are equal, but the binary part is, and you talk about repulsion, and one question I have and have pondered for many, many years is human beings tend to place themselves in little boxes. They want to define themselves in, I grew up in this family, or, I grew up on this street, I went to this elementary school, I go to this church, I go to this school, I belong to this state, I belong to this country. So it's a binary existence, which I have a hard time defining myself in one of two ways. No matter how many different categories I could say, hey, I belong to this group, or this group, or this group. I've got a baseball team, a basketball team, a football team, a hockey team. All these different areas. It's the binary piece of that is that, I belong to this group and you don't. That's what the challenge for me is, and I see that all over the world. I mean, you just have to watch the news.
You don't like that it's I belong here and you don't.
Right.
You think that's
right.
That's a very negative.
Yeah, that's the one thing about human nature that really puzzles me the most is, if you think about all the different shades and all the different hues of energy that have to be out there, because I think that's what makes us who we are. It makes me different from you, and you different from the lady next door, or whomever. So we've got billions and billions of hues of energy that create billions and billions of people who are different. But yet, at the end of the day, the human mind says, I'm this, you're not. And I think that's where a lot of conflict comes in, and that's what I don't understand. And that's what I'm trying to wrap my brain around.
So you think it's the comets' fault because they brought this binary
product
to us?
But that's the energy. Yeah, that's the energy that we've been subjected to, our amino acids and the basic building block. And, who's to say that there aren't people out there that understand that and exploit that? I mean, think about marketing. What is marketing? Oh, you got to have this on your shirt. You got to have this on your hat. You got to be a part of this group. You got to drive this car. And, I drive this car. You don't. That's what's perplexing to me as far as the human condition, if you will. And that's why we refer to this as bonus room philosophy. It's a philosophical bent, and hey, why is this? And we may never answer that, but it's definitely fun discussing it.
Yes, I totally agree. And if we can generate conversation amongst other people, maybe we can find the answers together.
Yeah, and I think it's a consciousness. If by you and I talking about this, you can raise awareness about it, and then people go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting. And not that we're right and they're wrong. There you go with your binary energy again. It's just, hey, let's throw it out there and let's talk about it. Let's discuss it and embrace it. Embrace it if we want to, and discard it if we don't like it. So that's what the discussion. But as long as we can have that discussion, I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah. And looks like we're about out of time, Lewis.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the conversation, Holly. And join us next time in the bonus room.
And keep talking.